Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking of Chelsea. I'm Mickey, and today we are going to be doing an in-depth review of Chelsea's pre-season. Before we get into the video, please do leave a like if you can, subscribe if you enjoy it, because there'll be plenty more of this content to come when the season begins. So Chelsea's pre-season was an interesting one, to say the least. It wasn't hugely successful like perhaps some people were expecting, but in my opinion it wasn't as bad as others are making it out to be. So I'm going to go through each game very quickly, just looking at the result and the way we played, and then we can have a discussion about how I feel that pre-season overall has affected Chelsea Football Club going into the 24-25 season. So the first game was Wrexham, of course, the same first game that we played last season. We did beat them 5-0 last year. This year, unfortunately, it was just a 2-2 draw, and I think it really showed that we were under a new manager with a new system, because we did struggle in this game to sort of get a foothold, to understand the positions that each player should be in. Of course, we did manage to get 2 goals. We were 2-1 down at one point, managed to pull back a late equaliser from Leslie Ugachukwu. But all in all, this game was not as good as a lot of people would have liked it to have been. It wasn't the sort of easy start to pre-season that I think the club probably thought it would be when they booked in this friendly against Wrexham. Moving from Wrexham then on to Celtic, and this was sort of the beginning of our pre-season where we only faced champions of specific countries. So the champions of Scotland first in Celtic, and this one was a rough one. Chelsea pretty much got destroyed by Celtic. They were a lot fresher. They'd had more games in their pre-season. They've obviously been under their manager for a long time, and they've got a lot of good players, in fairness to them, and they simply played Chelsea off the park, really. There's no other way to put it, but we were not good enough. And again, it was showing that we weren't sort of understanding Maresca's system, or at least we weren't at a point where it was able to be deployed in a game as effectively as it had been imagined in training. So from Celtic, we then went on to Club America. This was our only win of pre-season. 3-0 win against Club America, which was a really good performance, in fairness. I think we played well in this game. This was the sort of first signs of the system coming through. All in all, this was probably a highlight, or the highlight of pre-season for Chelsea, because other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of goodness going on. Let's put it like that. From Club America, it was then Manchester City, the champions of England. Of course, everybody knows what happens in this game. In the first 5 minutes, we sort of threw it all away. Erling Haaland had 2 goals. But on the whole, as I said in my match review on TikTok, this wasn't as bad of a performance as people were making out. And I think this was a real showing of the system, and it was a real showing that the players were beginning to understand how to play Maresca's way. We gave away 4 very silly goals. Those goals, I don't think, were a reflection on the performance. There wasn't too many big chances created by City in that game. I think we probably created all 4 of those big chances that led to the goals for Manchester City in that game, just by making errors at the back. So I think on the whole from that game we can take away some positives, because we did actually play very well. And of course it is Manchester City this Sunday in the opening game of the Premier League. So it was I think we were hoping for a better result with this game in mind, because it would have set a precedent in their mind that we were more of a problem than they perhaps think now. But maybe that's also good. Maybe them going into this game thinking we beat them 4-1 a couple of weeks ago, we can do it again, is a positive. So then into the final game in the USA, and that was Real Madrid, and we did lose 2-1. But again, similar to the Manchester City game, I feel like it was a positive performance. And although Real Madrid exploited some of our weaknesses in that high line and the defensive positioning, we really did play quite well on the whole. I think we created some decent chances. We probably should have scored more than just 1 goal. There were some big misses, some big opportunities where a different pass or a different shot would have produced a goal. So I think those 2 games, despite the 2 defeats, we have to remember they were against 2 of the best clubs in the world, and also we didn't look that bad if you actually watched the game. Then finally, back at Stamford Bridge on Sunday, it was Inter Milan, and I think this was, for a lot of Chelsea fans, a really positive viewing experience. Although we didn't get the win, we looked like a team who were ready. We looked complete. We pretty much dominated the whole game against Inter Milan. They had a few moments, but we really limited them. We defended well. Of course, we did give away a silly goal again. Another bit of lacklustre defending, which hopefully we can scrub out now that the Premier League season is upon us. But on the whole, we created a lot of chances, and we would have won 3-4, 5-1 if Jan Sommer wasn't playing like Superman in that game. So I think this, as a way to end pre-season back at Stamford Bridge, was a very, very positive game. So on the whole, looking at pre-season, my thoughts and feelings on this sort of 3-week period in America are mixed. I think I'm a lot more positive than a lot of people are, and I think that's shown in the videos that I've produced so far. People have sort of been saying that I'm maybe giving the squad too much credit at times, but I do believe in patience, especially when you've got a new manager who's got such a contrasting system to the manager previously. I think it's always going to take time. I categorically do not like these US tours. I don't like us going to America. I think the conditions are poor. I think the pitches are very poor. And I don't think, with all the travelling around you have to do, that it gives the team enough time to actually get down in training and focus on improving from one game to the other, because you're playing a game every 2 to 3 days. So you play one game, say against Celtic, make a load of mistakes, there's a lot that needs to be worked on, but the next day you're travelling, so then you get one day in the blistering heat to train, and then it's match day again. I just don't think it works. I don't think it is conducive of a good pre-season, although financially and commercially it's probably great for the owners. You know, we're getting more outreach into the USA, which is a great market, but in terms of the footballing aspect, I don't think it's the right choice to keep doing this, although I think we will. The new signings that did play, we saw a little bit of Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, we saw a lot of Mark Guiu, and some of Tosin Adarabioyo as well. I think all three did okay. Dewsbury-Hall I was a little bit disappointed with. I think he seemed a bit rusty. I'm not sure if he was necessarily up to the level just yet, but I'm hoping that will come with time. The more time they spend training together as a team, the more used to the level that Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall will get. Guiu, on the other hand, as an 18-year-old who's come from La Liga, was brilliant. I thought he really made an impact, and I think Maresca has seen that and ideally would like to keep him on board for next season, depending on who we, or if we sign anyone up front. He was tenacious, his pressing was excellent. He actually scored one goal, could have had a few more if not for some good saves and some unfortunate misses. So yeah, a really positive pre-season from Mark Guiu, and I'm excited to see him in a Chelsea shirt more in future. In terms of sort of standout players and players that I think perhaps didn't shine themselves in the best light, I think for standouts, obviously you have to mention Romeo Lavia. After almost an entire year on the shelf, he came back in pre-season and looked like he hadn't missed a step. A couple of misplaced passes, but other than that, I thought he was excellent throughout. I think he's going to be a very, very important player for Chelsea next season. I think he's sort of earned his way into that starting lineup and given Maresca a real dilemma in terms of those midfield players of who to select, because he's been brilliant. Again, like I just mentioned, Guiu, I thought he was brilliant. Madueke, another one, got himself 3 goals and an assist, so productive for him. I think there's still work to be done with Nani Madueke, but if he's given a run in the team and if we don't end up selling him to someone like Newcastle, then I think, again, he could be a key player for us in the coming season. In terms of the players that I didn't feel played that well, we have to look at the centre-backs, specifically Fofana, Colwill, Badiashile. Obviously we didn't see Disasi, and I thought Tosin was okay. I think they need to step it up. Going into the Premier League season, you cannot be making the amount and the frequency of mistakes that we were making. There were so many errors that led to goal. There were so many errors that could have led to goals, where we were let out of jail by a good challenge, a good save, or an unfortunate miss. So I think those centre-backs, it was a real wake-up call for them. And even in the game against Inter Milan back at Stamford Bridge, we saw another one. So I'm hoping we can stamp that out, because this is the sort of thing that could be a real downer on the season. Because if we play excellent going forward and we score a lot of goals, it's no use if we're conceding twice as many going backwards. So I think Maresca really has to draw some focus to those centre-backs before we do start the season on Sunday. And I'm really hoping that this was just sort of teething issues with the new system, maybe some confidence issues, and we can go into the season with them at top form. So in summary, I think it was an up and down pre-season. There were moments of, I don't want to say greatness, but there were moments of goodness, and there were some really bad moments as well. And I think a lot of people are going to focus on those bad moments, because that is just the nature of football fans these days. They will focus on the negatives if there is a negative to focus on. But my sort of plea to Chelsea fans is, you know, this is the team. This is the team we love, the team we support. So support them. And until things start going really wrong in the season, then don't worry about the results of pre-season. Don't worry that we didn't win enough games. Let's get out there on Sunday and in the coming weeks and prove what we've learned and what we can do on the pitch. And then if it's not working at the start of September or at the end of September, then we can judge. Then we can start saying, okay, some things need work. But for now, it's important just to get behind the team, support the team, and let's hope we can get some good results to start the Premier League season. So that is going to be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, if you can, subscribe, leave a like and share the video if you did enjoy it. There will be plenty more to come. Each and every game of the season will be covered. We'll have match reviews, we'll have ups and downs after the game, and plenty more. Take care.